Facebook went down a couple months ago. Facebook went down.
Yeah.
You could not access your Facebook.
Instagram, yeah.
You know what would make that never possible? The blockchain.
Welcome to the Alpha Podcast, made possible by West Coast Customs and Neverland Studios, hosted by me, Jussup. Before we begin, I want to remind everybody that what you're about to hear is not financial advice, nor do we endorse any of the guests or projects on the show. This is simply meant for educational purposes, and oftentimes I'm learning about these projects in real time as we're recording them. While this is brought to you by West Coast Customs and Neverland Studios, the opinions expressed are of my own or the guests, and not of the companies. So without further ado, let's tap into the episode.
All right, we are here with Abstract. We're going to talk a little bit about some NFT stuff that he's working on. Why don't you tell us what you do and who you are?
So my name is Luke. I go by Abstract musically. Basically, I'm a big creative. I like bringing ideas to life. That's kind of what I live for. I own an apparel company called Moon 52, which actually its whole ethos kind of is talked about and given context within my music. But it also is a full, we've done sneakers, we just dropped Letterman's, hoodies, just something as an artist where I want to do more than just slapping my logo on a hoodie. I want to do, interesting fabrics and interesting applications. So I'm just a massive purveyor of bringing ideas to life, whether that's, music or apparel or doing, we've even done short films, just telling stories. Self-expression in any way possible.
How long have you been into crypto and NFTs?
I'd say about 2 years, heavily. I mean, I've dabbled for probably about 4 years, but fully being invested and actually having, my thumb on the pulse has only been about 2 years.
How'd you stumble into this space?
I'm a huge supporter of the idea. So I came up through multiple eras. I was very early DatPiff, and back in the day, it was, a lot of these kids these days, you take for granted the approach that things like SoundCloud have. Drop a single, hope it goes viral, all this stuff. But back in the DatPiff days, we had to make full-blown albums for free. It was something where we were putting in all this work. I had concept pieces and concept albums with, I didn't have a full entourage of people who could make original music for me. So I would rip things or sample things or make music, based on what I could acquire. And we'd have to put it out for free just to gain traction. That was especially DatPiff days. In the beginning, you didn't get paid for SoundCloud. You were posting your tracks, your payment was virality. And they really didn't have anything in place to compensate artists or anything like that. After that, we went into the YouTube stage. YouTube music channels were a massive thing for me. Swaggy Tracks, First Period Music, Best Music for COD. What it came from was a lot of, COD players or Halo or anything in the video game industry where people would make edits. They couldn't use music that was from mainstream artists because they get flagged. They'd get, their royalties taken and all this stuff. So there was a whole community of artists who came up within that who could provide music in exchange for promo, where these, types of entities would be able to use music in their edits and not get, flagged by the major corporations. So what I saw with crypto was a way to take back ownership of assets, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's anything. Not to say that I'm not thankful for where that took me by giving out my stuff for free for a long time. I think especially in Instagram age and all this stuff, photographers have lost a lot of their leverage. It's like you just post a picture for likes and that don't pay the bills. That's not going to pay your rent. It's great for clout. It's great for following. But I love that Web3 overall gives back ownership to people's creations, which is a massive thing that I think is overlooked in the space. And personally, my biggest efforts and what I intend to do is to try to show what is possible outside of the toxic headlines that a lot of people feed. And the toxic headlines come from a lot of people who are going to lose power by what this allows people to accomplish. And that's why I'm a massive purveyor for the whole space, and I believe in it.
That was a really long answer.
My bad. It's hard to I'm trying to piece it all together. And yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years. So to take all the pieces and then show you how it leads up to my, support of what this all is becoming and what it can be, it takes that, honestly. And that's why I think a lot of people, they don't see the upside of it, because someone like me who's been in it for 10 years and seen the evolution of it understands why it is so helpful and how it can enrich so many artists' lives.
Well, and I think a lot of like when I'm trying to explain to people like why they should get into it or look at it, and regardless of what you do professionally, it's like, originally Instagram came out and everybody thought it was for photographers, right? Like that was what it's for, show off your photos. Now we have literally every business is like, oh, I have to have an Instagram, I have to have a TikTok, I have to have all these social media platforms. So imagine being back when you thought it was for photography and someone was telling you, hey, you're a real estate agent, you should check out Instagram to market. Now, if you're a real estate agent or anything, you should look at Web3 because it's the same kind of place. Yeah. And I think if I am hearing you correctly in the sense of you saw these different eras of things, and now you see Web3 as this is a new platform where you can leverage and get ahead of it while it is new and experimental. I mean, we're at the experimental phase.
Oh, yeah. Just for everyone out there, anyone who tells you they're an expert on what's going on, they're full of shit.
Yeah, 100%. I constantly say that. I mean, we're about to get into all the different things that you're doing, and I think really everybody is just experimenting. We're all throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks and what works and trying and failing and shifting, pivoting, like that's kind of what everybody is doing.
I see a lot of people who are interested in joining the space and they have never bought an NFT. They are not part of any community. And I would tell you right now to enter communities, 100%. You have to see what's going on. You have to support what's going on, learn from what's going on, and see how you can add value to what it provides.
Like, what are you working on? What are the several things you're working on?
There's another big thing that I haven't really talked about too much. One of my favorite NFT projects is called Deadheads. Beautiful work. It's a great team. It's a beautiful idea, and I think their execution is going to be incredibly well done. It's basically the idea of owning IP within an animated series as an owner of a corresponding NFT. So say
this isn't something you're working on. This is
a separate. It's one of the first, and it's one of the most interesting applications of NFTs I've seen.
Okay.
Where they have had an animated series on YouTube for a bit, and basically what you can do is take your corresponding NFT, which is a character that can be used within their animated show on YouTube. You stake it, and what you basically do by staking it, you basically are saying, I'm not going to sell this, I'm not going to do anything with this, I'm going to lock it up for a bit in the hopes that you will use my character as one in your series, in this animated series. Mm-hmm. And if it is used, you get compensated for its use. So you're owning IP within their animated series, which I love. I think it's a very interesting application for NFTs. I basically reached out to the creator a couple weeks ago. I basically got the part of I'll be playing a cool cat within their Deadheads animated episode.
Cool.
I believe it'll be episode 5. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I think it's episode 5. But yeah, it was an opportunity for me as a creative. I've always wanted to get into voice acting. I'm massively, a part of that community already. It was something where I could lend my talents as of course I'm an artist, but I've done my own short films, my own skits and stuff like that within my albums for, 8 years. So to finally have the opportunity to be part of something outside myself in an animated series was a beautiful thing for me. I'm extremely excited. It's not a crazy part. It's not the biggest part, but it's a big thing for me where I'm able to be part of something in this way, which I love.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
See, I didn't have anything. I didn't know.
Jessup didn't know about that. Yeah. I haven't told him about it. I haven't actually spoke on this too much. I've alluded to it and done a couple cryptic things, but no one really knows that that's the thing. But yes, that's what's going on.
This episode is brought to you by Neverland. And no, we're not talking about the California ranch. You're probably wondering, aren't you a founder? Yes, I am, and I'm not here to bullshit you. Along with my two cousins, Mark and Kurt, our partners Rob and Evan, and the world-famous West Coast Customs, yes, the guys behind Pimp My Ride, we're building a car customization, collecting, and racing game on the blockchain called Empire Ave. Empire Ave will sit in the Neverland world, along with the MetaWhips and the Meta Racer minigame, the Crypto Dad Dadlands mower racing game, and the ever-expanding metaverse that's going to continue to grow. You can find out more by visiting www.neverland.io. That's www.neverland.io. Let's get back into the episode.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there was something I learned. What is the first time you used NFTs or Web3 in what you're doing?
So I've been dropping these moment cards, is what we're calling them, with my buddy William, Polar Desert, who helped on a lot of West Coast custom stuff. Jessup's one of his good friends as well. Super talented. He's someone who's more VFX, 3D animated, 3D modeling, that kind of person. We basically created these cards that immortalized one of my first shows overseas, Munich. And Munich is actually Munich is my top streaming city in the world. That's just my biggest fan base.
That's
anywhere.
so crazy.
It's so wild. I don't know how it happened. Shouts out to Huge. Like there's a couple of German YouTubers who have used my stuff for years, and I think that's part of it.
You came from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where I'm from as well, and your biggest demographic is in Munich.
I'd like to, we've toured overseas twice and did a lot of Germany with Jonas years ago. And we hit, I believe, 9 different cities in Germany, which was beautiful. It was so cool to see. It was a crazy thing as an artist to come from somewhere that's so different and see people relate to it on such a wild level from an entirely different place from where you're from.
That's so cool.
But it just goes to show that, like, I love that, because that's a beautiful thing where you can travel the world and you can experience it for yourself, where you figure out that people are humans everywhere you go. Everyone's so afraid to leave their hometown, so afraid to travel, so afraid to see the world. And if you go out there, you realize that everyone's just humans making it through, like finding their way. Everyone is. And so I love that that's part of my story, where I can literally sit here and tell you this right now, that I came from somewhere, thousands and thousands of miles away from some of these kids, and I go to where they're from and they respond to it like I grew up where they did. That's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
So you're making these cards from that show.
Yeah, so basically what they will be overall is there's going to be 25 overall. I've dropped 6 so far, I believe. And no other cards I release will act in this way. I do have a plan of how we'll evolve that. The first 25 cards allow you free access to my shows forever. Eventually we'll allow you access to merch that's not available to anyone else, basically token gating. So
these are your true fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
These are diehards.
Yeah.
So this is even something like I haven't really started to market myself. I'm part of a lot of communities within crypto, but I don't put myself out like that. A lot of that is a beautiful thing because it's onboarding. A lot of these kids, they're hitting me up. They're like, how do I make a MetaMask?
Right.
How do I buy something on OpenSea? How do I figure this out? So the current owners of the moment cards are not Web3 native. So I basically have brought in a lot of these kids to a world that they would have not known about without what we're trying to purvey. And that's a beautiful thing. I'm trying to infiltrate better on the Web3 side and whatnot, and bring in that community. But I think it's a really cool thing that the first couple we did, and I've been dropping since, I believe my first NFT we dropped, the moment card number 1, is March 2021, I believe. Yeah. So
it was early before things got crazy.
Things have gotten wild, dude. I knew that they would, and I know a lot of people look at what's going on right now and they think, that's it. I'm like, no,
it's not even close.
Don't know, dude. You want to fucking write this off? I'm sorry for cursing. I hope I can curse in this, or you can bleep me out. There's things that come along and you look at it and you can either go, I don't want to learn about this. I don't want to know. I don't want to. It seems like a lot of work to hit 4 different buttons.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of work, especially in this day and age where, you can get instant access with one click. So I understand early on now, even, we did West Coast Customs. I was out there in LA, and, there's a lot of crypto native kids there, but there were a couple there who were like, I don't know how this works.
Right, yeah.
You're telling me I have to download a wallet and then transfer my, USDT into Ethereum, and then I have to buy it there. For a lot of people, it's like, that seems like a lot of hoops, but dude, like 200 years ago, how many hoops was it to get to the freaking grocery store? Come on, what are we talking about?
I don't even know if they had grocery stores 200 years ago.
Yeah, it's like even like raising your own cattle just to, you can slaughter them and put them on a plate at the end of the day for your family. Like, come on, dude. Your 4 clicks, that's a lot. Come on.
But I think that's a good point, though, here. I keep saying this, and I think I'm a firm believer that all of this is going to get integrated so much into our day-to-day lives that people aren't even going to be they're not going to realize that they're using this technology.
It's literally nuts that our vaccine cards are on paper. What are we talking about, dude? We're talking about you have to carry around this little piece of paper that says
that looks
that looks terrible at the same time, and mine's literally disintegrating as we speak. Like, why is that not in my phone? Why is my driver's license not in my phone? Why is that not a smart contract? Why is that not an NFT? Why is my passport a piece of paper? That's nuts to me. It's so archaic. It's so archaic, and what people don't understand is that smart contracts solve that.
Yeah.
You literally could roll around with your phone, the thing that you have on you all the time.
But it doesn't.
And it has all that information.
But it doesn't even
on
have
you.
to be on your phone. It's on the blockchain. That's the best thing. Is okay. You lose your phone. Well, cool. It's literally on the blockchain.
Yeah, it's there. It's saved overall, and not on one computer. Facebook went down a couple months ago. Facebook went down.
Yeah.
You could not access your Facebook. You know what?
Instagram. Yeah.
You know what would make that never possible? The blockchain, because it lives on every single computer. It's not in one centralized space that could go down just because of a power outage or anything. It lives on a lot of computers.
Right.
It lives on every computer, and it's like, why? Why are we living so archaic about this shit? Come on.
So, moment cards. That's not the only thing you've.
So we're doing a couple things.
Yeah.
I'm basically, so with Moon 52, I'm super fashion forward. I enjoy creating clothing. It's something that I have loved since a young age. It was honestly a dream before music for me. I was,
Clothing,
probably
fashion.
Yeah, I think it originally came from, I grew up in Jackson Hole, so I was a massive skier. Same thing, I grew up same town as Jessup. And I loved the culture of clothing around that. Like, it's such a weird thing. I know in the Bay it's popular. I know all over it's, there was an era where it was popular, but tall tees, where I grew up, in this small town of Wyoming, were somehow a thing. Like, we all loved that. We grew up on hyphy music. We loved E40. We loved Too Short. Like, it just happened to happen that way because the kids that we looked up to were putting this music in their edits.
I was older.
Yeah, Jessup was older. But this
I
was
didn't wear a tall tee.
This was an era, though. It was a definite era, but that was fashion at our localized sense, and I was just intrigued by that. I loved like the cultural. We were taking things from the Bay, and we were this small town in Wyoming where there's this bubble where we all were rocking that for some reason. I loved the cultural connection to apparel, and I loved the storytelling and what. Wearing a tall tee to me meant a lot more than just a piece of cloth that was longer than my freaking waist. Like, it was something for me that told a story about what I'm into, what I relate to, what I care about. And so I think on an early age, I was like, you can tell stories through apparel. Like, you can express yourself. And I love that aspect. That was something for me where I think my earliest dream, one of my earliest dreams was to be an astronaut. And then I saw one blow up, and I was like, I don't want I was like, that seems dangerous. But that's what we go through.
Instantly changed.
Yeah, but it was something like, it was one of my earliest dreams, even before music, to make skis, to make outerwear, to make clothing, and express myself through that way. So Moon 52 allowed me a way to create the sci-fi ethos that I also love. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, massive, Marvel fan, and it was something where I wanted to create this world that the music can live within while I'm still expressing myself in an extremely, real way. I wanted to create this sci-fi aspect to it. So it's all about expression. But to get to my further point, if you look at a lot of NFTs, there are certain attributes that we create are within many different collections and whatnot. And 3D glasses were something I saw that pops up always. There's even people who have, created a persona where they go to these crypto conventions, NFT conventions, and they're wearing 3D glasses. So what I thought was, why don't I make a high quality 3D glass? Not paper, not something like that. I was like, why don't we make something that is bringing that non-fungible fashion to a fungible space? So it's like you can express yourself in the real world as, it's a rare attribute. These glasses are a rare attribute that you can literally equip to your physical self. So I was like, why don't we create a good-looking, fashionable sunglass that has that 3D aspect and sell it as NFTs? What we'll basically be doing is the first 100, you basically will buy yours, And then we'll token gate where you can't access a way to input your address for shipment unless you own one. So you basically will be token gated. I'll know exactly which one you have, and I will send you the physical version of that. And then what you have to do, what anyone after you has to do is buy yours, the NFT, for 2 times what you paid for it down the line consecutively. So every person who buys one or buys the NFT, if they want a physical pair, they have to 2x the prior price, always.
So if I sell it, I get double, and then the next person gets double.
Yes.
But not like if I sell it to Sophie, I sell it, I don't have to send my glasses to her. You'll send it as long as she proves
that it was 2x. So I'm basically creating long-term value for the early believers in it. And you can say that I'm manipulating the floor price, but
it's interesting. It's actually a really cool kind of unique. I've never seen anything done with that on a physical level. That's actually really cool.
And we're only making 1,000.
Because the other thing is, you know, like a lot of people are talking about attaching the physical where like, so when I was in Chicago, they're working on some contracts where the physical is built into the actual contract. So, like, say I buy the Moon Vibe 2 collectible.
It's called Moonview.
No, the collectible.
Okay,
the other one that you gave me.
The vinyl toys, yeah.
Yeah, so say I bought an NFT that came with one of those, right? Well, now you have the issue of if I sell you the NFT, what if I never send you the physical product, right? Well, within the contract, they're building out the ability to show that if the physical is not attached to it, it's part of the contract where it only gets completed once the physical is also sent. So that solves like some issues of keeping those together.
Yep.
But I like your kind of, this is unique. This is something that I've never heard anybody talk about or see. So I like this. I'm very curious. Again, goes back to throwing spaghetti, right? Like This is a very unique way to...
Well, my big thing was like if people are going to conventions and, you know, the Bored Ape Hundreds collab is a massive thing that people will throw on to be like, oh, I'm in the space. Like, check this out, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want Moonview to be like. Oh, someone's rocking some 3D glasses. It's like, oh, they must have a couple, 3D glasses, rare NFTs. Like that's that guy. Like,
so you're only making 1,000 physicals, but
we're only making 100 NFTs.
100 NFTs. Okay. Yeah.
So it has to be. Each one has the capability of being resold 10 times, and the value and price will go up exponentially as those are sold.
Have you thought about what's going to happen once they've hit the 10?
That's it.
Do you think the NFT will lose value?
I don't think so, because it'll be connected to something that there's only 1,000 physical pieces of forever. Right. And it's like you see someone with Moonview, you're like, you're one of 1,000, goddamn. Like you were in on this.
Yeah, you had to have.
Yeah. So I think it's something where it's like long-term value for me, I think is just within the physical. But I think the NFT will also have value because people know, oh, if someone's got one of those, maybe one person paid $250 for it to mint. Maybe someone paid $100K for theirs. You don't know. Right. You don't know. But the cool thing with that we're doing is basically each case will be engraved with the number of the one that they... Oh, it's not going to be engraved, but it's engraved, and then I basically will be writing in each individual one that is sold so you know exactly which one you own.
In which order.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun experiment. It's something where, I have things where I know that they're more... We're doing Alien Ab Domestic Division, which is basically 100 PFPs.
There's only going to be 100 of them?
Only 100.
I thought you were going to do more.
We will. But there's multiple levels to... So Domestic Division is the first one. And it's basically Genesis. It'll be the Genesis version. But we have Alien Ab Galactic Division, which will be in the thousands. The Cosmic Division will be probably about a 10K. But everyone who owns the prior will have... So everyone who owns the Genesis will be able to get in on the Galactic one for free. They'll all be airdropped one free mint of that. When we get into Cosmic Division, it's going to be whitelisted for everyone who's gotten a Galactic or a Genesis. And then we're basically going to do what Bored Ape did with Radioactive Division, where we're going to drop to the Cosmic Division, basically a NFT that allows them to mutate their alien apps. So it's just going to be an ongoing project. I'm really excited about it, especially Domestic Division. There's 20 super rares that are based on all of my main biggest albums. And then there's 5 one-of-ones. And then the rest of the 75 will be more generative, but it pulls from our history of abstract merch, Moon 52 merch, all that stuff. So it's just a whole lot of my history built into 100 PFP drop, which I think...
I've seen some of them. They're cool.
And what's really cool about it, too, is that the same guy who did all the art for all my main albums, Joseph Jenkins, is the guy who did all the art for the drop. Yeah. So it's not like it's just like I hired out a rando. It's like the original guy, the same guy who did Superhuman, the same guy who did Kintsugi, the same guy who did Something to Write Home About, my biggest albums I've ever dropped. So it's not like we're just borrowing. It's like, no, like this guy is the guy who's done everything, and he's doing the entire project as well.
Is your brain hurting yet with all the things you've been juggling?
I also have an album coming out. And I have 3 different EPs in process. I for a long time, I fought it, but I have heavy ADD. I've always had heavy ADD. And I figured out that the less I fight that, the better I do. So whether it's, I'm doing these 3 different NFT projects while working on my main album, while having 2 or 3 different EPs in process, while making merch consistently, I'm happiest when I'm stressed as hell. I am happiest when I'm living on the edge of my creative drive. I hate it and I love it at the same time. It drives me absolutely nuts. The people who are close to me and love me know this, and I'm glad they put up with me. But I'm someone where if I'm not juggling, I don't feel like I'm worth anything. I hate that. It's something where my worth is in what I can bring to life. If I can't bring to life the ideas my brain comes up with, even if they fail, I did it. It's cliche, but I refuse to live with any regrets about any of my ideas because I'm constantly thinking, and I want to do everything I think about.
When do we expect the first gen drop?
That's a big question. It'll be after the album at least.
Okay.
It'll be after June because there's a lot of Easter eggs in that too. Like I haven't even really exposed the name of the album, any of the concept. The PFP project is kind of chock full of it, so I have to keep that in my pocket until the cat's out the bag. That's what we got to do.
Yeah.
But another thing this is another thing with the PFP project. My bad.
It's okay.
I feel like there's a massive misunderstanding of what can be done with smart contracts. And so a massive thing that I want to do with the PFP project is something where a lot of companies are already doing it. And it's something that I want to show is possible. And I'm just trying to show people that it's more than just a freaking JPEG. The underlying technology that backs all of this, while there may be some BS out there and, you may say, oh, that looks terrible, why is that trending and whatever. The underlying technology is undeniable. So something that we want to do with the Alien App Domestic Division is basically tie it to one of my songs, drop them in conjunction. So basically the reveal will happen. You buy yours, you're not sure which one you have until the reveal happens, and then you actually will own a share. It's a drop of 100, so each person who owns one of the NFTs will own 1% of the master royalties. So this is something it's nothing new. People are doing this. This is going on. But I'm trying to figure out how to do it in conjunction with a generative, a 3/4 generative project. Shouts out to Joseph. I don't want people to think that, the entire thing was, generated, and even then we're going to curate to make sure that everything is as beautiful and as well presented as we can, as I do with all things I do. But what we want to do is tie that back to, you have a percentage on the corresponding song that it's dropped alongside. So basically anyone who owns a corresponding NFT, one of the 100, will be paid out monthly royalties for the corresponding song. I think it's something that's incredibly slept on, and I know there's a lot of people talking about this and may have gone over your head, but as an artist, I commented on DistroKid's thing. They were doing a feeler about NFTs, and so many people were so mad, and so it really pains me, just the level of ignorance. I was like, will you ever introduce a way for us to fractionalize ownership of our songs to our fans? And I get the most ignorant comments of my life. It really, really pissed me off. It really messed me up because the lack of understanding of opportunity is ridiculous. There are so many people who are like, So you want to take more away from the artist than they're already not getting? And I'm like, no, I want to share the success of my songs with my fans.
Right.
Is that so wrong? Like, is that so wrong? Like, do you understand that if someone has a personal fiscal stake in the song, that the success is going to be that much larger?
Right,
Do you know
yeah.
how much people will push a song if they have a personal stake in it?
Right.
If they're going to make money off its success? Come on, man. You don't see that? You don't understand that? Come on, man. You don't.
Not only are they now emotionally connected, which was what a lot of people do with music, now they're actually financially connected and incentivized.
And when they push it, they win, and you win, and we all win. That's a beautiful thing. Bobby Hundreds talks about this all the time. I love it. I think it's a beautiful idea that as the value in something grows, the entire community behind it is paid out as such. I just don't, I don't see a way of this going where that doesn't make sense. And I think a lot of people overlook that. But I know I come from a very different background of, I did give up a lot of my streaming income and a lot of my personal YouTube income because I was like going to these YouTube music channels and being like, yo, post my songs. And I don't want anything. All I want is the promo. All I want is for you to get it out there and give me. And I sacrificed a lot of money for a couple of years, but it gave me a platform. It gave me a fan base. It gave me a following. I gave that up physically. The short term seemed a little shit, but the long term, I'm now living off what I love to do. 6 years. I've been doing this for 6 years full time. That's a beautiful thing. And yeah, I gave up shit.
You're completely independent, though. Like,
completely independent.
Not overlook that.
I don't, there's no major label, there's no manager, there's nothing. I do almost 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. I never sold myself to anybody. And that's why I love the NFT things. I love self-ownership. I love being an independent entity who gets to decide what you are and what you do and how you do it.
Is it dropping on ETH, Solana? I know we've talked about this a little bit. So
that's the big question.
It's funny. You said, you texted me and you said something about, it's exactly what you just said in this thing, but you're talking about Solana. And I said, go buy an NFT. Right? Remember that?
I do have, I own a lot of Solana, but I've never bought a Solana NFT.
I know. And you were asking about the community and then how it goes. And that was my answer. I was like, go buy one.
I do need to.
Go buy one.
Well, because I know the guys, but this is my big thing with, I know Ethereum's key or king, and it's very interesting to think about how things will go. I know that we live in an era where no one came out on top of streaming. No one did. It's shared. We have Hulu, we have Netflix, we have Amazon Prime, we have HBO Max, we have all these things. And no one came out on top. It's just who has IP in these particular realms.
Right.
And I think that's the way blockchain will work out as well.
Oh,
I don't think there will come a time where everyone else is canceled and we just are living on one layer. I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
I think different layers and different blockchains will have their own IP, much like our streaming era.
But they're also going to be a lot of communicating between them.
I love what Solana's doing. I love what Ethereum's doing. I'm a huge fan of great origin stories. Vitalik has that. Ethereum just is a beautiful evolution of an idea. I think it's very flawed, 100%. It's not
terrible experience.
It's not what we all want. That's the hardest thing for onboarding. It's like, yeah, you want to buy this? Here, you also have to pay $100 extra. You have to pay $150 extra.
Maybe.
Like on a good day.
Oh, wait. Nope. You waited too long. Now it's got up.
Now it's gone up. So sorry.
Oh, wait. It dropped. Nope. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. You want to mint that? There's a gas war going on. Have a freaking great time.
No, you missed it. They're all sold out.
I'm so sorry.
Like, this is real. Like anybody that's done it is like laughing right now.
Oh, it's a pain, dude. It's such a pain. But it is king. Ethereum is king. There's things that are, we have Bitcoin maxis or very much. I think it's wild when I see things where literally anything that's not Bitcoin is a shit coin. Like Ethereum is a shit coin to people.
I know.
And it's so much more use case within Ethereum than Bitcoin. Like, what are we talking about?
I know.
Lightning failed, dude. What are we talking about? It failed. Like the use case, I know that it's just NFTs right now, but it's not even just that. Like the smart contracts built into NFTs, like I'm talking about, like shared music royalty, that's a massive utility.
Yeah.
Can't do that with Bitcoin. It's not happening with Bitcoin. Where's that? And it's been around the longest, but that's the big thing.
And Bitcoin's even longer transaction times than.
Oh, yeah. Even I'm a massive Becker fan, Alex Becker.
Yeah.
I know he ruffles a lot of people's feathers.
I like him.
But he gives it to you straight. I love it. I love how he gives it to you straight. And he's right. I mean, the hardest thing about Bitcoin or even Ethereum layer 1 is, how hard is it to go into a building, gut the entire thing, and build it as it should be currently? Bitcoin's archaic at this point. I'm sorry,
right.
but there's a lot of things about it that are archaic. And there's a lot of people who took, it's a great blueprint. It's a beautiful blueprint for what a lot of people are building. But, how hard is it to go into the building and gut the whole thing, take it all out and build it for the current era? How hard is that when there's a lot of, projects that are just building from the ground up correctly off the blueprint?
Ethereum was one that is also now trying to rebuild the Ethereum too.
Ethereum's archaic too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who are, doing beautiful things. I think Cardano we're not sure how the cards will actually fall there. I mean,
Avalanche is a great one.
AVAX is a great one for sure. There's a lot of people building some beautiful things. One of my favorite things is Chainlink. I'm a massive Chainlink fan. I mean, Sergey is, you watch any podcast or interview with this man and he's a genius. He is 100% certified gigabrain. And I know this from not even, people shilling on Twitter and, we have our NFT pushers and whatnot. I know this from developers. I know developers who look at Sergey as a genius. And that's why I'm so, it's bullish. That's all I can think of. Even on something like, we're talking about an Oracle, we're talking about something that services all sides. There's so many projects. Every project that has somewhat traction is utilizing Chainlink to a certain level. It's because you're not even investing in a blockchain or anything or a coin or anything. You're investing in pretty much a protocol. You're investing in the underlying genius in a lot of these things. I know that we went into kind of a tangent with that, but we're not even talking about blockchains right now because we're talking about Chainlink. But I'm talking about a lot of people are investing in these things, and they see things on Twitter and trending and whatnot, and I know that it hasn't been the most well-performing thing, but I'd encourage people to actually learn about what they're investing in. That's a big thing. Because I think a lot of people see a trending coin or, this guy bought that, let me go buy that.
Right.
It's like actually learn about what you're investing in and why. Because we can do quick flips all day. It's a massive thing within NFTs. But if you want to play a long play about smart contracts and how they might actually change the entire industrial world, then know what you're investing in, because these things are going to take the hell off.
Right. You collect NFTs. I mean, I know the answer to this, but so what was the first NFT you bought?
Actually, West Coast Customs.
Was it?
Yeah. I was learning.
So you were creating NFTs before you actually purchased one?
Yes.
Interesting.
Which I feel kind of bad about because I wanted to be a part of the community before I started to utilize the community. But it was something where, we were at West Coast Customs in LA. I came out for Jessup and William, and it was freaking beautiful. It was so well done. You guys killed it. I can't say that enough. It was one of the most beautiful physical manifestations of an NFT drop I've ever seen. It was very futuristic and really painted the picture of what it all can become, which I loved in a physical space, which a lot of people don't do.
Let's go.
No, you guys killed it. But I tried to do it on, I don't own USDT. I don't really do that. So I actually went back to my hotel room at the end of the night and bought one of the Mario Kart ones because Williams Polar Desert that man is a freaking genius. We've been doing a lot of stuff for a long time between VFX and my music videos and stuff like that and 3D modeling. And it was just such a cool opportunity to be like, I want to support Jessup. I want to support William. Like, that'll be my first. And then I'd say the first time I invested into something outside of myself with Dapper Dinos, because I think it's a great project with really good people at the helm who care. And that was my first two.
What was the last NFT you minted?
You guys.
As I said, I was wait.
I might have bought a Skull Trooper. A Skull Trooper. Cool. I'm a big Deadheads guy. Even not even just I was into Deadheads before I was able to be a voice actor in it. Because I think they have some beautiful 3D art. Like I think they're.
I gotta check these out. I haven't seen them.
They have their original ones, which is just the regular Deadheads, and then they recently put out Skull Troopers. And what they're about to try to do, or what they will do, they've raised enough funds. They're going to basically create they've been doing the YouTube animated show. And like I said, they're on episode 4. episode 5. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but I'll be in that one. They did the initial Deadheads ones, and then Skull Troopers was basically to fund their efforts to get into Netflix or Amazon Prime or just a larger streaming service with their, IP and show. What I was talking about earlier, I think the beautiful thing of the shared IP is so cool. Like even Nicky Diamonds just did his Bored Ape collab. Huge shouts out to him. I love what they're doing. I have 3 crypto dunks, and he owns, I believe, 3 or 4 Bored Apes, and they basically went back and forth and then put out their own merch drop yesterday. Sold out earlier today, which is super dope. But I just love the idea of shared ownership of IP. I know there was some big stuff with CryptoPunks that went down about how that actually works out with them. And that's their choice. That's what they choose to do. I'm a massive, I know people get mad at the monkey JPEGs, but you want to talk about a brand that has created massive value in that amount of time? Dude, they will teach this in business school. They will. There's no one has created such IP out of thin air in 8 months?
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. It's something that's, you can get mad about the art. I don't care, dude. Come on, man. Look at as a brand, the kind of success that is. That's mind blowing. And it shows what you can do as well. I'm going to get on a tangent a little bit, but there's people who operate from a mindset of scarcity or a mindset of abundance. And if you operate from a mindset of abundance, you're not going to be shit talking NFTs about monkey JPEGs. I'll tell you that right now.
You could be working.
You're going to be, if you want to take your time to just talk shit on Twitter about a bunch of people who do not care how you feel about them, I promise you, they do not care. And a lot of these people have had their lives changed by this type of stuff. They paid $250 for something they can now resell for $300,000.
They can buy homes. Yeah.
Come on, man. There's some people, and I know that it seems very elitist, but the early believers are not elitist. They're people who believed in the project, and the project delivered.
Yeah.
And now they're winning. Let them live. Come on, man. It's so dumb. I'm so done with people being mad about this stuff, dude. Like, you get mad about it, go build something for yourself. If you can replicate it, do it.
Yeah.
If you can't, then shut the hell up. 100% shut the hell up.
All right, so
shouts out to Ivan too. We've talked a couple times. He's with MoonPay, and he's onboarded a lot of these celebrities.
So you have talked to
I was talking to Ivan a couple weeks ago. We just were Instagram DMing back and forth.
I was gonna actually hit those guys up.
I mean, he's what they're trying to do and what they're trying to push is crazy. They're literally expanding this IP that's out of thin air. Yeah. And just creating this movement, which is, I love music. I love creative, expression, and I got a lot of soul to share with the world. But at the same time, as a businessman, I appreciate what these people are doing and how they do it, because it's unheard of.
Yeah.
To create that kind of value out of something within 8 months is absolutely nuts in any realm. Yeah. It must be respected. It should be respected. It should be studied.
And like, not even just, a lot of people are saying things like, the Bored Apes, there's not going to be another Bored Apes and this and that. But I mean, you can take a project that has done a fraction of that and they have still done something pretty impressive. I mean, some of these are doing a few $1 million. That's a fraction of what the Bored Apes did and is doing. That's changed people's lives.
It's something where I think it's a massive lesson in how, as a brand, if you can deliver to your community, you win. Always. If you can care about, this is why I continue to win. It's because I care about my community. You would DM me, I'll DM you back.
Right.
I'm not too cool for you. You have a question. I even had someone, I announced Alien Ab on Instagram, and someone just knee-jerk reaction. If you're making NFTs, stop. And I hit them up personally. And I was like, here's what we're trying to do. Here's what I hope you can understand. I'm sorry if there's a lot of things that you've seen from the space that turn you off and give you a knee-jerk negative reaction, but here's what's possible and here's what we're trying to do. And at the end of it, he was like, well, I hope they're dope. I'll buy one. I'm excited to see what happens. Like, literally, I didn't knee-jerk reaction go, fuck you, dude. Yeah. Well, I was like, let's have a conversation, man.
And I get that.
Because that's important.
So it's funny because I get that on it happens more often on the Instagram of the West Coast Customs Instagram, and I'll take the time to thoroughly explain, break it down, because some people are like, "What the?" Like,
well, this is the thing, Jessup. I'm incredibly perplexed buy the fact that people are like, oh, there's so much energy that's consumed to make an NFT and all this stuff. First off, that's not true. What happens is Ethereum is a bus. Ethereum is a bus that is going to go from point A to point B regardless of who is on it. That's the way it works. Right. Regardless of who is on it, the same amount of energy is going to be expended for its existence by one person making an NFT that does not affect the bus route at all. It doesn't. It's going to go there whether or not you are part of it or not. It's going to go there. And here's the thing. Our current system of creating currency, how much money is spent? Dude, it costs 2 cents to make a cent. What are we talking about? We're talking about something that we can get to a point with Ethereum and Bitcoin where it's 100% solar powered. We can.
Right. Well, then there's other chains that are consuming less.
Yes, and there's massive, and that's the big thing about the Bitcoin freaking argument. I'm like, the first car had terrible mileage too. Actually, it didn't. So the first car was actually electric, and then we figured out that we could take the stuff that was left over from kerosene that we used to power our lanterns and turn it into gasoline. And everyone discovered that that's a great way to make money, and that's what happened. So the first car was actually electric. Overall, the first gas car had terrible gas mileage. Why would you think the most archaic version of blockchain wouldn't be the least efficient?
Yeah.
Of course it is. But there's a lot of people who are doing it way better. And also, the entire system that's built on the blockchain can be entirely green. Our current system cannot. So you're going to bullshit to me about what can become green for what will never be green?
Yeah.
Get the hell out, dude. Like, why do we even have coins? Coins are ridiculous, dude. That's what I'm talking about. The 2 cent, it costs 2 cents to make a cent. What are we talking about? And look at our inflation. It just freaking, I'm not Republican or Democrat. I land somewhere in the middle. I am not a Trump fan. I'm not a Biden fan. Don't come to me with any of that stuff. Biden, printed money out of thin air. I believe it's 60% of stuff, 60% of money in circulation over the last 2 years was printed in the last 2 years. So 60% of money overall was printed in the last 2 years. Does that not alarm you? Does that not make you feel like we should have a better system? And it's also crazy because our current credit cards are run off of a ledger.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's a blockchain, dude, except with a whole lot of hoops to jump through. That's exactly what it is. It's just literally you paying money with your little card, and it's deducted from your little, number signs in your bank account, and it's just money. It's just digits moving around. What is that? That's a ledger, dude. That's the blockchain, dude. What are you talking about? Why is that? Why do you not see that as the direction we're going if that's already the direction we're in? What?
Well, I mean, and then we take those credit cards and add them to our Apple wallets, and some states are allowing you to add your driver's license to the wallet. Why are those not NFTs?
100%, and they will be.
Yeah.
Eventually, yes. And that's why some NFTs will come out on top too, because I don't think people understand that the early iterations of this technology that's going to run the entire world in 10 to 15 years are going to be valued extremely high because they are the first iterations of the technology in use. Even if they're
not
shitty
investment advice.
No, not investment advice, but some of these more, successful projects are going to go down as extremely valuable because they're the first successful iterations of.
That's why the punks are
valuable.
I mean, the art isn't spectacular.
No, it's not.
Let's be real.
But culturally, they're significant because they're one of the first iterations. And Bored Ape is one of the first iterations where it was celebrity-backed IP. It's almost like Nike. It's almost like Adidas. It's almost like it's the same thing as the swoosh. Especially Twitter introducing the PFP stuff. It's
that was cool.
Yeah, you're literally, it's the same thing. You're wearing a swoosh as your PFP.
New verification.
It's digital flex. This is another big thing I want to talk to people about. If the metaverse freaks you out and you don't think it'll be the future, you've never put an Oculus on. I'll tell you that right now. If you put an Oculus on, you'll understand why our digital selves will become as valuable as our physical selves. It's something where we are going to get to a point. And this is another, I was talking to a friend the other day and I was like, the future's not dystopic like that. We're not all going to be in goggles. I think AR is going to be a huge part of our future. Yeah. Well, I had this conversation with someone the other day. I mean, imagine having these sunglasses on with your AR going. You're literally in a park with all your friends. You go into a setting where it turns on laser tag and you guys are all running around. Your glasses can see that you have your hands in a certain shape. They basically hand track that, and you're running around a park playing a game of laser tag no one else sees. The future is a massive, you're at home, you plug into your VR if you want. But when you're out, AR is going to be the massive thing. It's going to add another layer to your reality. Imagine you're at a live football game, and through your AR glasses, you're able to see where the down is. You're able to see all the animations they put on the TV live at the game.
Yeah.
You're able to see the score in the lower left of your, like, everything is right there for you. I think there's a lot of applications for AR which will involve NFTs 100%, where it's going to actually not take away from our physical experience, but add to it. And you can say it's weird, but there's so many this is one thing, Jessup, I absolutely hate. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. But
you are the longest podcast we've had so far.
I'm sorry. But I see these comments from people on Instagram who are mad about NFTs, and they're like, go outside and touch some grass. I'm like, you're on Instagram, dude. You're sitting here on Instagram. Why aren't you outside touching grass?
You're in the metaverse. Literally.
You're literally here. You're in the 2D metaverse right now.
Yeah.
You're literally sitting here commentating on things that you're mad about in the 2D metaverse. You're here with us.
Yeah.
You're mad about the metaverse? You're already here. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Log off of Meta.
Yeah. Like, come on, dude. Like, I hate that stuff. And also looking at it so dystopic. If you see it so dystopic, start to build in a way that will make it not so much.
Right.
If you really care that much. Go do it yourself.
Yeah.
Guide it in the direction you think it should go.
I think AR is going to be huge. I do.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think I'm hugely interested, and this is why I think Nike bought Artifact. I think digital wearables will be massive. You have your AR glasses on, and you're able to see what your friend's wearing. And another thing Bobby Hundreds talks about a lot, I have sneakers I don't wear. I look at them. They're beautiful. They're like little statues to me. They're these beautiful works of, apparel art to me. I'm not going to wear them. But if we start to make things digitally in the same way, you can argue about the energy cost of blockchain and whatnot. But what happens when we start to buy a digital file instead of a physical piece? So what are we doing? We're not consuming those materials. We're not adding to the amount of money it takes to transport those materials.
Right.
We're not adding to the amount of money it takes to run the company that has to assemble the entire thing and get it to you. So actually, what's the positive impact of consuming on a digital level versus physical? It actually, at the end of the day, is going to change massively how we consume things. If you have your AR glasses on and you have some pair of like digitally rare sneakers going on, everyone's going to look at it and go, oh, that's tight. And it's the exact same effect, except all those physical things that you had to go through to get those originals won't take place.
Right.
So actually, it's a net positive. We're talking about energy consumption.
I think bro, you talked about so much stuff.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Like, I hope people who are just getting into the space it can kind of eye open a lot of the things that they're curious about, and then the dialogue that's been thrown around, specifically the energy consumption stuff.
Even my big thing is, I think we have to lead with narrative. I even saw this thing the other day that was like, they're selling Kurt Cobain something NFTs, and I'm like, why are we doing this stuff? And then someone like clued me into being like, all the proceeds go to charities.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that should be the headline. That should be the narrative. But you give so many people so much fuel to hate on it, to be like, oh, you're making money off a dead guy. Da, 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 da.
Right.
Because you make it the headline. That's the headline you choose. The narrative has to be in support of what's going on.
Yeah, 100%.
If it's about a charity, then lead with it, dude. Freaking let people know what can be done.
There's a big misconception about like what is an NFT and what the use case is. And like you said, when you lead with the narrative, they're selling Kurt Cobain's shirts. Why do people get so worked up when you say the NFTs versus a shirt?
Well, I think a lot of companies know too that it's going to cause interaction, and everyone wants interaction because it drives the algorithm, even if it's negative.
Yeah, 100%. It does it more if it's negative.
Hate. That's a big thing too. That the freaking algorithm, dude. Back in the day, we'd go to good music all day. Tim Weber, good friend of mine. You trusted him to tell you what new music you might be into. You trusted him.
Yeah.
He was a human who was consuming this stuff, reporting back to you and going, you might like this artist. Nowadays, it's just this monster of an algorithm is manipulated 100% of the time by major labels, by pay to play, by a lot of things that people aren't even aware of. And they find these artists in ways that are not organic and are being pushed to them by, hi, Sophie. I know. It's messed up, I know. But that's why I think with the blockchain too, we do need to just, I think a big technology that has to come about. I'm a huge believer in music NFTs. My good friend Pat Dimitri is massively pushing the space in that way. I think the big thing that comes out of it has to be almost a discoverability factor. I don't know how that would work into a smart contract, but if there's a bunch of people selling music NFTs, we have to have a discoverability aspect to it so that these people can be found and shared. You know, we're all kind of chained to the algorithm, especially as me, where do I want my next paycheck to be determined by this program that, you know, maybe it'll love me this month, maybe it'll hate me next month. So that's a big thing too. And at the same, leaning into that more, I think what people don't understand about NFTs is the system that's set up currently to pay out artists for their work is supremely messed up.
Yeah.
It's so messed up. 0.00, 4 or 5 cents per stream. That's nuts. And then even when it comes to albums, why is everyone's album worth the same amount when not the same amount of money and the same amount of work goes into every album? That's ridiculous. The industry has decided that our albums are worth $13 to $10. Nipsey Hussle was one of the first people to go, I'm going to make mixtapes. You got to buy it for $100. And I think that was a beautiful move. Putting value back into the true value of your art and what it should be. Why can someone make a painting and decide that it's $250 or $300,000? They decide that. Why can't we decide that? We live in an era where $10 to $13 for an album is just the standard, and if you do anything else, you're weird.
Right.
Like Nipsey Hussle went out and did, this costs $100. That's the value of my work. Take it or leave it. How much do you value me? I think that's a beautiful approach. And it's not even a capitalist thing. It's like some of these albums take, I've had albums that cost me $15,000 to make. That's it. That's what I put into it. You're telling me that at the end of the day, what I put $15,000, $20,000 into is worth $10? That's nuts. I'm all about the art. I'm all about the soul. But at the end of the day, we all got to live. I think NFTs give value back to the artist.
Full circle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see all these things that you're putting together come to fruition.
Thank you, and same to you.
I'm probably going to have to mint one of these glasses.
I got you.
Moon views.
Moon view. Bring in crypto fashion to the physical world. We're going to see what we can do.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
So you can find me on Spotify, just Abstract. You can find me on Instagram as Abstract307, Facebook, Abstract, Twitter, The True Abstract. I'm so sorry they're not all the same. I've had a lot of arrows in my life. It just is what it is. Abstract the rapper on YouTube, yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming over and making this happen as I'm traveling through. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Thank you for listening.